Hello and welcome to my channel, and welcome to this first video essay in which I discuss my reflections on literary taste. When it comes to books, it is useless to take opinions on trust or to adopt them uncritically. They must be formed, created and truly felt for oneself. I have myself an intense curiosity about other booktubers' point of view, what they think about any particular work. But in literature, as in art and in life, I think that the only conclusions worth coming to are one's own conclusions. Everyone cannot admire and love everything. It is up to each individual, I believe, to look at things fairly and without prejudice, and to make up one's own mind what he truly thinks about a particular work and hold to it firmly without endeavouring to impose his taste upon others. When we are young and our tastes are unformed and we are unsure of ourselves, of course it is only reasonable that we should defer to the tastes of those older than ourselves. But when we have mature tastes, it is foolish to pretend to admire all the things that others think we ought to admire, when in reality we do not ourselves admire them. When we were young, it would merely have been seen as arrogance if we were to oppose those whose tastes were more mature and to whom we ought to value as being arbiters of taste and discernment. But when we are fully mature and have formed our own tastes and judgment, then it becomes us to appraise the value of things for ourselves and to learn to love them for their own sake and for ourselves. It has been said that respect of a deferential and constitutional type is out of place in art and literature. When a writer puts their work into the marketplace, in a sense it is no longer theirs but ours, the reader. Now we are being asked to estimate its worth as a work of art, and we each have to bring our own judgment to bear and to consider whether the author has met certain criteria, and if not, in what sense he has failed. For myself, when it comes to novels or biography and even for short stories, I have an objective criterion subjectively applied. I want fascinating characters, a compelling storyline and a pleasing narrative style. These are the three objective criteria, but who is to say that any particular character is fascinating, and for what reason? What is it that makes the story a compelling one for me, and what constitutes a pleasing narrative style? These are all subjective evaluations that only I can make for myself. This is the reason that what you love I hate, and what I hate you love. It is the subjective and therefore personal taste that determines whether we love or hate a book. Even those books that have become universally loved classics and have stood the test of time have their detractors, and books that are regarded as trashy or popular pulp fiction have their lovers. When there is a certain something in a book that appeals on an emotional level, it may be regarded as less than literary by some, but others take it to their hearts and, regardless of its literary merits, is loved and cherished. It is mere snobbery to look down on others for their literary tastes, as though there was some high and elevated standard beneath which one ought not to sink. I have read widely and in every conceivable genre. Some I love and some I love less. I love the classics, but not all of them, and this can be said of all the genres. Out of the approximately 7,000 books that I have read over a lifetime of reading, I have retained in my personal library 500 to 600 favourites, and I've mentioned some of these on my channel. They cover a spectrum of genres and they satisfy my criteria. There is another point of view on which I want to end. It is found in G. Wilson Knight's The Wheel of Fire. In chapter 1, on the principles of Shakespeare interpretation, he wrote, "In reading, watching or acting Shakespeare for pure enjoyment, We accept everything. But when we think critically, we see faults which are not implicit in the play, nor our enjoyment of it, but merely figments of our own minds. We should not, in fact, think critically at all. We should interpret our original imaginative experience into the slower consciousness of logic and intellect, preserving something of that childlike faith which we possess, or should possess. It is exactly this translation from one order of consciousness to another that interpretation claims to perform. Uncritically and passively, it receives the whole of the poet's vision. It then proceeds to re-express this experience in its own terms. So that's all, folks, but I'll be back soon with another BookTube video.